Welcome again to another episode of Papa Bojo's Kitchen. Today we're going to make majadra. Majadra is Arabic lentils. I'm using brown lentils for this. It can be it is a vegan dish because it's only vegetable. And when I do plate this, I'm going to plate it with the previous episode that I posted, which is kufta kebab. But I'll show this plated by itself as well. For this, actually, you're going to need 3 different cooking spaces. You're going to need a pot or a big frying pan, 2 of them, and another frying pan. In this one, we're going to put the cracked wheat and the oil, and then the water, and some spices. And in this one, we're going to cook the brown lentils, the oil, and some spices. And in the back one, we'll pull that forward when these are resting. I have onions both diced and sliced, and what we're going to do is we're going to cook those in olive oil, and we're going to make them nice and crispy, and that's going to be the topping for the majadra. So now the proportions that I have here for the lentils, I have brown lentils. I've got 2 cups that I've rinsed and cleaned, and then they're dried somewhat. They don't need to be fully dried, and a 1/4 cup of oil, and 4 cups of water. And I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of baharat, and 1 teaspoon of cumin. For the cracked wheat, I've got cracked wheat and it's got vermicelli noodles. That's all I had, so that's why I use this particular cracked wheat. You can use plain cracked wheat too. I've got that, 1/4 of a cup of olive oil, 4 cups of water. Again, this is 4 cups of water as well. And we're going to use just 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 teaspoon of pepper in that when we cook that. And then I've got probably about 1½ large onions or 2 medium-sized onions. What I've done is I've diced and sliced it. So I've got a little bit of texture when I fry that in 1/2 cup of olive oil. So let's get cracking and let's start making the majadra. So I've got each of these pans here preheated to about a medium-high heat. And I'm going to pour the olive oil in both of those. I'm going to make sure that that's stirred around. And now when I add in each of these, both the lentils, I'll do the lentils first, and we're going to put these in, and we're going to stir them around like this. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit. We're going to stir these around for about 2 to 3 minutes. And we're going to do the same thing with this cracked wheat. You can see from the cleaning it that it's sort of stuck together. And we're going to cook these too, and what we're doing is we're toasting them up a little bit. Okay? Make sure I get all this in here. Make sure I have all the lentils in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir these around for a couple minutes. Just stir them, and every so often, over 2 to 3 minutes, I'm going to stir them. Now that these lentils here have been going for nearly a minute, I'm going to take the spices, which is the baharat, the salt, and the cumin, and I'm going to mix all this in real good. And the reason why you want to do that is you want to toast them spices to bring out the optimum flavor of them spices. And then with this wheat, now it's starting to toast a little bit. I'm going to add in the salt and the pepper to this. And I'm going to stir all that in. Now that these are nice and toasted, we're going to add in the water. And we're going to stir. And we're going to bring this up to a boil. It might take about 4 or 5 minutes. And we're going to add the water, likewise, to the wheat. That's 4 cups of water each. You've got 2 cups. Oh, sorry about that. Let me get that back lined up. You've got 2 cups of the ingredient of both the wheat, cracked wheat, and the lentils. And so you use double that for moisture. Now I'm going to kick the heat up to high. We're going to bring these to a boil. When they come to a boil, we're going to cover them and let them rest for 10 minutes. And while they're resting for 10 minutes off the heat, that's when we'll cook our fried onions. Now that these have both come to a full boil, we're going to turn the heat down to a simmer, and we're going to simmer this for 5 minutes uncovered before we cover them for 10 minutes. It's now been simmering for 5 minutes, both of these, so we're going to cover them. We're going to take them off, set them aside, and we're going to let them rest for 10 minutes. For the onions, we're going to take a half a cup of olive oil. And we've put that in an already preheated pan because we want this to be nice and hot. And the heat's at about a medium-high heat. Then we're going to take the onions, and we're going to drop the onions right in. And of course, we're going to then stir them around. When the onions get to this point, they are done. Some are burnt, that's what you want. Some are not as well done. This is perfect. Keep it just like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the lids for both of them. And make sure that you taste both the lentils and the wheat to make sure that they are soft enough for you. If not, cover them and let them simmer for a little bit longer. Now we're going to mix in, and sorry you aren't going to be able to see this, but I'm going to mix in all of the wheat in with the lentils. We're going to mix all of this together. What I also like to do is I also like to put a little bit of them onions mixed in here, about a spoonful or so. I like to mix those in because that just adds a little more flavor. Now we got this mixed, we're just about ready to plate. So now that our majadra is complete, we're going to place some of this on a platter. And you'll serve it with the platter. And then I'll also show a serving in the pictures with the kufta kebab. So you take this and you heat this up real nice. And if you don't like as much of the wheat and you want more of the lentil, well, cut the amount of wheat by half if you want. We happen to like it this way. And now I'm going to take some of these onions and place these onions over the top. That gives both flavor and color. And oh my goodness, this is the real deal. This is some good Chaldean Iraqi majadra, the way my wife and some of her family like it. There it is. I'll take some close-up shots at the end of the video. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'll hope you try the majadra. It's a great vegan dish, okay? There's really nothing in there that is anything other than plant-based. It's awesome. So I hope you try it. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Papa Bojo's Kitchen, and I hope to see you again. Buon appetito, everybody. Bye.